talk through some of our products and competitor products and all that good stuff.
It's
Cool,
saying we
cool.
live.
9-5.
If y'all looking, y'all
My
just
heart
gonna
work
get the
is
whole
past the
back
hands.
end background of it, so you can figure it out and make sure it's out there. So basically, if you see them two together, they family.
Absolutely.
So y'all just gonna see all of it.
Someone asked a question.
Right, right. So it takes a couple seconds, but once it's up, then you guys can share from your Facebook. So that whoever's watching can see it as well too. And I'm just checking mine on Facebook. So then they can stay able to
Is
see
it under
all.
Dr. Sequana or is it under
It's
Taylor
on
Legacy?
both of them. The one I just gotta make it for this public. I think we live. It's just been however we got it going on. They know we in the technology world. Okay.
And all these mics is definitely working and on, right?
If they ain't, I guess we'll figure it out in a minute, y'all.
Give me a mic, Alex.
Right, we trying to make sure the mics are on. Let's see. All right, it's on. So, good evening, Facebook family and friends. I hope you guys are doing well. Today ain't been as hot as it's been the last couple of days, but guess what? We live in Wisconsin, so we're not gonna complain about any heat because we know it can go from 70 to 25 instantly. So we're going to get started tonight. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit like and share this so that other people can see it as well too. As we talk, if you have any comments, put it in the comment chat and we'll ask your questions of the gentleman that's in the show tonight. Or if you don't want me to say your name, because I have a couple of people that's always inboxing me, I won't say your name, but make sure you tune in and ask us some questions and comments. Our topic this month, seeing as if it's Father's Day month, is fatherhood and relationships. I got some gentlemen on. I'll let them introduce themselves and we'll just kick it off. We're probably going to skip some of the other videos tonight. I'll add them later. We have a technology rose, but we're going to keep going. So thank you all for being the best part of Taylor Talks. I'll just start to my right. If you can tell them who you are, what you do.
I'm Reggie Kason Houghton, Dr. Reggie Kason Houghton. I am a program manager right now at SDC.
All right, you a father?
Yes, I am. I'm a father of 6 daughters and 1 son.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Next.
Hey, good evening, guys. This is Ed Cook, pastor, Revive Church, Revive Life Transformation Church. Happy to be here tonight. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Pastor Ed. Thank you. Last but not least.
Live and direct in the place to be. No, I got to be extra. Your favorite realtor here, real estate guru, Mr. Edwards, author, father, just to name a few. Y'all tap in, ask y'all questions.
Absolutely. And then Rashad is, has some key issues as being a father. It's not daddy duties, right? Basically, you're doing your responsibilities. So if he's able, he'll join us. But if not, we just go jump right into it. This is a very transparent conversation. So share as much as you're comfortable with because it is live. And they said once it's on Facebook, you can't take it back. Right? So if I get you with some questions or comments, right? And so the reason why I wanted to do this show, and I know I waited to after Father's Day, is because we talked last year too with Pastor Ed about the controversy of Mother's versus Father's Day, right? And then how you guys feel like you get the short end of a stitch. That's okay. He's making sure it's down.
Yeah, I'm just
no, just shit. That's okay. We all doing it. And so I wanted to talk about fatherhood and relationships. And it looks different because we often talk about mothers, right? When we talk about mothers, especially single mothers and dating or single mothers with relationship with their children. And as a woman, hopefully I don't, but I don't want to ever speak for a father or a man because that's something that I'm not, right? And so sometimes I feel like we have all these preconceived notions about you all as being fathers or dads or relationships, but we never really ask your opinion is what I've been hearing from men. So this night, we just gonna let you guys talk. I'm pretty sure some women go jump in. If you jump in, though, I want you guys to more comment or question. Don't tell them what they should be saying.
Ready for that smoke.
Right. They're gonna give it to all of us. So when we talk about in reference of being a father in a relationship, right? And so usually when you're dating someone who's a single mom, and I know like you're not single, you're married, but often there is this conception of people saying, hey, we should accept women who have children, but if a man has children, it's supposed to be looked at differently. Or a lot of times I hear women say men can have 15 children, and if a woman has 1 or 2, then it's supposed to be she gets some type of label, while a man can go ahead and spread his raw oats everywhere and still be acceptable. So we can kind of jump into that commentary and just speak freely.
So
right, look at him. Don't get quiet.
So I
now.
guess with the question you asking is basically, why do we feel like we can do whatever with kids and women can't?
Right.
I don't feel like we can. I feel like some women, good women, I'm gonna say that, do judge a man by the relationship he has with his kids.
Oh, that's a difference in women. No, just keep going.
It's a difference because if you have a relationship, don't have a relationship with your kids, a lot of women won't deal with you. That I know. They won't even have you don't deal with your kids, they're not gonna deal with you, because if they have kids of their own and their father's not around and they preaching he should be around, why should they be around someone who's not around their father?
Right.
They kids.
Right.
Okay.
Listen, ain't no sidebars here. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I just told Alex, go ahead and jump in. I'm gonna think
Okay,
about
okay,
this
I got
because,
you, I got you, I
I've been
got you.
married 20 years, and I got 2 babies,
there.
and with
Yes.
1 woman. That's
Yes.
it. So,
So pretty much in a nutshell, what comes to mind is a conversation I had with a young lady when I first had my son. She said that your value went down. She was like that. She was just being candid. She was being honest. She was just telling me, like, when I didn't have a kid, she viewed me as being up here. But when I did have a kid, she was like, your value kind of went down. And this is how she explained it to me. And that really stuck with me, even to the point where you just brought this up. And that's the first thing I thought about. So it's arched in my mind that my value is down now because I became a father. But on the flip side, I had other women who thought it was sexy. You know what I mean? Like they thought it was sexy that I'm a father and I take care of my son and I was able to produce a sexy son. You know what I mean? Like my son is just so beautiful, and all the women love him. They just call him their little boyfriend and all this type of stuff. So, now it's like it kind of became an asset to me when maybe the young lady from before, she kind of looked at it as like a liability to me. You know what I mean? It became an asset where now women know, okay, this guy can produce a healthy, beautiful, smart individual, just in case they want to reproduce.
They want to reproduce with you, huh?
So, all right. So I think, I'm listening to both my counterparts tonight. I think what we have to do is remember that. Now my phone's going on.
Turn the phones up.
Right. I think what we got to do is understand that it's an individual choice. Yeah. By one person, as Alex said, your value gonna go up. Right. By another person, your value gonna go down. I think what we can't do is try and put every female in a box, right? About how they feel about a person with children. Some people are gonna look at a man with a child, and then first they either gonna qualify or disqualify by if you have a child. And then if they qualify, the next step they're going to do is they're going to want to see how good you are with that child. And then they'll make their decision from there. But some people, you don't get past the front door because you already have a child. Right. So I think what you have to do is not put everybody in this group. And understand that every female is going to be different. People are at different stages of their life. I mean, if you 50 out there looking, you can't be like, you can't have no kids because you probably can't. But it depends on what stage you are in life. Right. Then people have those different qualifications and what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
And so as I hear you all talking, and definitely for you, Alex, when you said a woman was like, oh, your value went down. I feel like as women, we deal with that almost every day, right? Mm-hmm. Proving that you should still be of value if you had children, especially if you had children out of wedlock, right? Because it's been this stigma for women to be this certain standard, while a man get applauded for being that type of way, but a women is looked down at or talked about. And so they like, you got how many kids?
Right.
How many daddies? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, right? While you will see a man and they're never asked. To me, a lot of times, oh, do your kids have the same parents? Right? But a woman gets asked that all of the time as if that should be some smoking gun or shouldn't be correct, right? And so to hear a man say it, I'm kind of like, wow, they told you your value went down. Usually that's like a flat, right? Man can talk to like 7 different women and it's supposed to be this great thing, while a woman is supposed to be the standard or talking to one or waiting to be found. And not to say that's a bad thing, right? Because as a woman, I want to have standards too. But also I think as a woman too, we more like, if we have children, for me, especially when they were younger, like after my divorce, I didn't want to date because there was this stigma around women, right, having children, and then my children were younger. So I didn't want my daughters to believe that's how a woman should live, with men coming in our life. And I didn't want my sons to grow up to be the type of man to think it was okay, right? And some people say, well, I felt like that was kind of an excuse. And maybe it was, but in that time in my life, I felt like it was best for me and my children, right? For me not to date, for me to heal, and for me to go on, right? But as a father also, do we get to a point where maybe you don't tell a woman automatically that you have children? Or also I've heard of men saying, I don't let everybody meet my children, my kids, right? And is that for a specific reason as a man, right? Or is it just something that you figure it should be more of a committed relationship before they're introduced to your children?
Well, as a parent,
right,
not just as a man, there's a certain fiduciary responsibility that you have over your kids to not introduce them to everybody that you meet. Ain't copacetic.
right.
And so as a parent, I won't even say as a man or a woman, there's a responsibility and a duty to protect your child, and to not, you are that child's role model.
Absolutely.
It's funny, my son looks just like me, and then when people say y'all have the same mannerisms, y'all, all of that's the same, and then there's other things that he's just like me. My wife will tell me that all the time. He's just like you in these areas. And so now, if I was single, I wouldn't want him to be I wouldn't want to be parading women in and out the door, because that's not the example that I would want to set. But that's just me.
Right.
So I think you have that responsibility to really protect your child and instill those values into them that you want them to have. And they're going to be as much as we don't want to be like our parents, we become a reflection of our parents the older we get.
Absolutely.
And so y'all saying you shouldn't, but then what
I'll
about
let
that?
them talk.
I was going to say, because they want to be
Okay.
quiet.
Yeah.
What about
No,
that man?
Alice was
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded.
I'm
I'm locked and
Alice let
loaded.
the old man go first.
I like, go ahead. Go ahead.
Alex let the old man jump in first. So I'm gonna turn it over to you.
It's all good. So might I add, the woman who said that my value had went down, she was actually a younger woman. So, and then it even come to mind where I even had to convince another younger woman to date me, because she said she don't even date cats who got a baby, because she didn't have a baby at that time and she was younger. So, this is like early 20s. This is like, you know what I mean? But the more mature women, they more or less understand, they probably already had a kid, or they probably already dated a man who had a kid, or whatever case may be. They didn't been through this, but this is like, fresh out of high school, young women like, oh, I ain't date nobody who got no kid, type of thing. I ain't ready to be no stepmama, So it was kind of like those type of conversations. But nevertheless, I think that women can have this preconceived notion that by them dating a man who has a baby, that they automatically is going to be a part of this baby mama drama, or they're going to be, a stepmama, whatever case may be. But somebody could know me for a whole year and never see my son, because I have my days with my son, and those are his days. Those are his time. You know what I mean? And I'm going to schedule around that. And I'm going to be like, well, I got my son today, So that's just how I operate. So, I would throw that out there to a young lady like, hey, you probably never even run across my son, quiet as kept. But at the end of the day, like the gentleman right here to my left was saying, we have that, protective side as fathers to protect our young ones. So it's a lot of people my son don't meet, and it's a lot of things he don't see, just because ultimately, we trying to break those cycles. And if that's keeping that away from my son, that's what I got to do. That's just me.
It's kind of crazy because as they was talking, I was thinking my first wife was had a kid. I was in high school. She was a grade over me. She had a kid at 16. And my grandmother and them used to always be like, you don't got no kids. What's the problem? And I've always labeled myself as, if I talk to a woman with kids, I base, if I'm gonna be with you or talk to you or whatever, off how you treat your kids, how you take care of your kids. Because people say I'm kind of weird because I see the things that other people don't pay attention to. I like to say some guys will look at a woman, she don't take care of her kids, she take care of herself. As the kids don't take care of themselves. I look at it as that woman is not taking care of her responsibility with her kids. So as a father, it has to be the similar type of thing. My kids don't meet anybody and everybody. They not. I got girls. First of all, I'm trying to teach them what a man is supposed to be like. Second of all, I'm trying to teach them that you shouldn't be letting any man run in and out of your house, So it's just for their sake, I got sisters too. My sisters got kids, and they don't let any man. Like I have 3 beautiful aunties who I call my sisters, and I saw them with 2 men my whole entire life. Right.
Wow.
And they single right now. So, one of my aunts probably been single for 15 years, and I think she's one of the best women on earth. And I'm like, why is she single? And she told me one day, I can't have any and everybody around my kids. And I'm like, wow. And her kids is grown now. So
somebody commented, they said, what's up, good brothers? Most important decision in one's life is choosing their spouse, which I think is good. So you guys want to comment on that? And I know y'all are not married, but he is, but like, how do you look at it when you're choosing someone you're going to date, as in being in a relationship with or being committed? Somebody who's going to be around more for the long run.
Well, like I said, like I said, if I'm gonna date you, and especially if you got kids, you have to take care of your children. You know what I'm saying? That's big with me because people have been in situations in relationships where if you don't have a great relationship with the children, it can destroy the whole relationship. You know what I'm saying? It can destroy everything. It's a lot of stuff that can happen. So yeah, that's a kind of touchy subject, with me. If you ain't take care of your kids, I don't want to talk to you.
So I'll answer that question that the person commented. Ideally, your God-given spouse is going to be a life partner, somebody that you're going to do life with. And that's going to be an extremely important decision that you make. Not someone that you just kind of like, not somebody that you lust after, because all that go away after a while, but somebody that you do life with. And that is one of the most important decisions and commitments you're ever going to make, because as you're doing life with them, potentially children come out of that relationship. And I heard one time somebody said, you're not raising kids, you're raising adults. And so now that you got these little people that you got somebody you're doing life with, and now you got little people who you're instilling morals, values, rhythms into. You are shaping the way the next generation of our society goes just by that relationship with you and that life partner. So one of the most important and one of the most important things, is something that shouldn't be rushed into too quickly, is that life partner that you're with, because you got to make sure this is somebody you're going to spend a long time with, or you ideally should spend a long time with. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. So I know people, they write down their lists, and, they wants and don't wants and all of this. And, if this person checks off the list or checks so many boxes, I think that was like the Steve Harvey thing for a while. I think he was, I think it was him who who brought that out for, think like a man and all of this. And I think a lot of women had kind of just adapted that mindset. But nevertheless, me personally, I go off of like, vibes and energy and all that good stuff. So it's like I gotta have a good bond, like it gotta be a good flow, and it should just be, effortless. It shouldn't be forced. It shouldn't be, is this person PhD? Is this person, making six figures and all of that? That's not what I'm about personally. But as long as we make each other happy, I think that we can, grow for eternity. Ultimately, I think that what's meant to be should be, and ultimately, that's how I operate personally.
Right. So I hear that so much now. I don't know if that's the new word. We gotta vibe. You like that too, but I'm saying like y'all in sync. I'm just like
you don't know about vibrations and energy.
So I'm saying like I guess what it's going, but whenever you ask somebody nowadays, that's the buzzword to me, right? Like, oh, me and that person wasn't vibing, or we was vibing, right? And so I think about it and I go, so is it more of that emotional feeling versus, right, something of substance? And that doesn't mean it's not of substance if it's vibing. But you know how sometimes you will look back over some relationship you had with somebody, you be like, what was I thinking, or what was going on?
Yeah.
So I wonder, when we talk about vibing, is it that emotional attachment for that moment to that person, or something that's giving you a certain energy? Like, is that in depth, or is that more surface? That's what I think about when I hear vibe. Like, it's surface.
Gotcha. And when I think about vibe, I think about like being in sync, being in tune, and that could be momentarily, you know what I mean? So I'm not putting that past what you're saying too as well. When you're looking back, you're like, man, what was that? Like, they just came in and just swooped me off my feet. Like, you know what I mean? They was no good to me, you know what I mean? But they was so good for, in the moment. But nevertheless, that's really just, living in the moment. And like the good pastor was saying, you got to think about those things for the longevity, especially, with a life partner. You want to be smarter about those decisions. So I think it's, they both go hand in hand. They both go hand in hand. So when you can have like a perfect match, it's like when all those things come together, it's like, okay, you got a vibe with them, and they PhD, and they got six figures, and they a doctor, they a lawyer, you know what I mean? And they got a career going. Hey, you know what I mean? So it's like that's the full package to me.
So Reg, you started to say something and you just stopped.
I'm sorry, because you.
No,
it was. I thought
he
question.
He
was like vibe. Then he got really into it, and I was like, so what is that?
No, but he basically said it like, I say it's like peanut butter and jelly. You got to go together. Like Shaq and Kobe. Everybody say, a team.
Right.
Where I'm weak, you strong. Where you weak, I'm strong. It's and that's really what it is. And it's just, I've been in situations where the vibe was just horrible, and it's like,
right,
right, be like, no, I'm not vibe, we not cool, and they just be mad. You be like, it's not there. It's not that I want to get up in the morning. I want to call you. I want to, that's a vibe. I can't, like, I ain't seen you in 3 days. What's going on? That's a vibe. You know, if people post it all the time on Facebook. If you go a whole day without wanting to talk to a person, it's not there.
It's just not.
You make time for what you want.
It's not there.
Nothing about you being too big.
It's not there. So if you can do that, then that's not who you need to be with.
Okay, and this is another thing I want to ask. Because people ask me this all the time, and I'm just not into it, like astrology. Right? I get it. I know my time. I love my time, but I'm not reading it every day. I'm not basing my relationships off of it, right? Like, it ain't, if you were this, you go well with this type of sign. And so I've heard more men ask that than I've heard women, right? Like, just in relationships. So does that mean something, your sign? Like, I just really need to know, because I'll be like, why does it matter?
I don't even know what sign my wife is.
I was like, what does that mean?
Oh my God.
I have no clue. I've been married 20 years.
Right.
I have no idea what sign my wife is. I just wanted to kind of backtrack one second. I think what we have to understand is, while we're on this earth, you're never going to get 100% of what's on your list.
Right.
You're never going to get it.
Right.
Most of the time, you're going to be about 80%.
Right. 80-20.
You're going to get it, the 80-20 where you're going to get about 80% of what's on that list. What happens is when we get in these relationships and we look for everything to be perfect every day, every moment, every time, or the vibe always got to be there. What happens is there's going to be times in your relationship, in your marriage, where that other person is going to operate at 20%. And I need us to understand, as much as they're only 80% of what you want, just understand you only 80% of what they want. And so when there's going to be times when that person's operating in that 20%. And the problem is we live in such a microwave society. We live in such a society that I see one thing and I'm out.
Right.
That as soon as we start focusing on the 20% more than the 80%. And then you leave behind, because I have to believe a lot of people done said, man, I let one get away.
Yes.
What they really said was that was an 80%er. And I started focusing on the 20 more than the 80.
Preach, Pastor.
I ran out there for the 20.
Come on,
wow. No. I ran out there after the 20% and realized everything that I gave up for some short-sightedness. So I think that what we got to make sure we do is when we find that connection, because when I hear the word vibe as an old man, I'm old. I just think of someone that I connect with, someone that there's a rhythm. My wife and I have a rhythm.
There you go.
To our life, to our relationship, and she can tell, and I can tell when the rhythm is off. If I'm stressed, and she can tell the rhythm of our relationship is off. I love being at home because 20 years, I just want to go home. That's what my peace is. And so I just wanted to just kind of throw that in there, as like, don't get so quick to be like, nah, we good, because they may hit that 20%. Or one thing I ask people in their marriages, in marriage counseling, is how do you treat them when they're in their humanity? How do you treat them when they're operating in the 20%?
Right.
And then, because whatever you sow, thou shalt also reap. When you operate in your 20%. I'm done.
Now you're on the cash collection plate. We do talk about that 80-20 in the list. I don't know if you're talking about Steve Harvey, but a lot of people went off of that, like, make your list and see if you check it off, right? And so a lot of times, someone has said at one point, you got to see people in 4 seasons. But then there was like a 5th season, right? That you really don't ever get to see until it's very challenging, right? And so a lot of times we love people what we consider that honeymoon season, right? Because things look good, they feel good, we vibing, right? Our energy matching. That's what they say now, right? But then you get to a point where that energy maybe ain't matching as much as it should, right? Out of the honeymoon season. And so what is the deal breaker, right? Like my cousins mess with me all the time and say, she'll be like, he had on yellow socks today with the wrong suit. She out, right?
Oh my God!
Sometimes the people are sticklers, and so I know me, right? I know me. Some things are automatically, that's okay. You have a nice life. This isn't working, right? And no harm left, nothing like that, because I don't believe in burning bridges, but I absolutely know when to let one go. It's not for me, right? Just wisdom and discernment. And so when I think about it as men, because I've been told, I got 5 brothers too, that men are more physical, right? And all of us can say looks don't matter. It absolutely do. So when people say that, I'm not believing you, because when I first meet you, I don't know nothing about Reggie's character. I know how Reggie looked when I seen Reggie, right? And as you get to know somebody, their character comes into play. And so is it true? I know I just put you on the spot that men automatically go towards the physical. And then is there a next step for character or mental intelligence?
I wouldn't say it's physical. I say it's visual.
Visual. Okay.
We're visual learners in a sense as well, where, we like what we see.
Right.
And certain things we want to see in our lady. And when we don't see that, then we can become displeasured in a sense. But me personally, and I'm only speaking for me, I have learned to, just accept people for who they are and to want them to be more of who they are. And initially, if I see something that I like, I want to see more of that I like, and I want to actually assist them to be more of their self, because they self is just dope. You know what I mean? And I just want to see that dopeness come out all the time. So even if they are having a down day or being in that 20%, I'm trying to get to see that 80%. I'm trying to see, you know what I mean? Get them to that 100% of them just being that dope energy, that dope individual, that I first met or I first saw, whatever case may be. So ultimately, that's just how I operate personally. So that's my answer. I pass the torch.
I think the men are more visual,
Okay.
but I believe that when it all comes down to it, the most important thing in any relationship is the relationship.
Yes.
Is how both of those people interact. How do I treat you on my bad day, on your bad day?
Yes.
How do I treat you when I'm disappointed? It's the most important thing. So the visual draws you, but the relationship keeps you. And if the visual is the only thing that's keeping you, they gonna get old one day.
Yes.
Oh.
Right.
They might scratch. They might get a scratch. They might become disabled one day.
Right.
The visual ain't a day. She might have babies and don't look like she did before
Right.
she had babies.
It's true.
And so visual may draw you, but if the relationship don't keep you, then you're setting yourself up for a split down the road. So the relationship has to be there over the long term.
Absolutely. You want to chime in?
No,
That's why he been married for 20 years. That's exactly right. He got it figured out. He got
they actually said it all. You can't really. How can you come behind something like that? Because everything that they said was factual.
You have to keep dropping the mic.
Okay, I'm gonna flip the mic this way.
We're gonna let you go last next time, man. You go last.
You might drop the mic on you.
I'm gonna go last. I'm gonna let these young brothers, because some of this I'm like, man, I ain't been on a date with anybody but my wife in 20 plus years.
Listen, I ain't nothing. I don't know. Maybe I don't need no dates either. So somebody said men are impatient, right? And so I actually wanted them to alleviate more. The visual draws you, but the relationship keeps you. They like that good dialogue, right? And so I often say this, right? Like when I do speaking engagements, or especially we have this father-daughter dance, right? And so the father to me is the first man to love their daughters. It's so vital within her relationship. And I won't forget the boys, either the young man. The first person to me that will buy her flowers or a bracelet. This lady I grew up with, her father taught her how to change a tire, not so that she wouldn't be okay with the man doing it, but she would know how to do it for herself, right? And so I often say, when people talk to me about relationships as a man, and I don't want people to get this twisted, right? And so your daughter looks up to you as her first love at times, right? The love that she knows down here that's not of God, right? And so I often say, or I've been told, a man should ask himself, would you want your daughter to date somebody like you? And I wanted to be really clear when I said that for the Facebook world. We're not saying as in anything that isn't right. We're saying as in that girl loving somebody because her father has taught her real love, right? And so when you look at yourself and you think about relationships, is that a question that you ever think about? Or is that something that doesn't enter your mind because it's your baby or it's your girl? And I know you have a son, but if you had a
I'm the girl dad, I guess.
Right. Go ahead. You got this.
My daughter is here, so I'm gonna candidly say this. This is my baby girl, but as a girl dad, my 20s me, no, I would not want my daughters to date the 20s me. The me that went through trials and tribulations, yes, I would. The maturity in it. So what I'm saying by that is, and this is something that always comes to mind. I wasn't taught how to be. Everybody I was around, every male I was around as a young man was a cheater. Okay. See, we don't want to have those conversations.
Let's have
it.
So naturally, I thought that every relationship, it was cheating. If the woman don't do what you want her to do, you cheat. You know what I'm saying? That's how I looked at things, to the fact where I was the scum of the earth. You know, I just got out the military. You know, I'm hot. You know, everybody cut up. Everybody chasing me. I was having fun. I was having kids, but I was having girls. And I always thought I was cursed. I'm like, man, I'm cursed because I'm dogging out somebody else's daughter. But what if that happens to your child?
Right.
You know, and now that I have older kids and they have failing in their relationships with these young men, I kind of feel like I'm being penalized because I've done it to someone else's daughter. So I say that to say, yeah, I want my daughters to date the guy I am now, but not the guy I was in my 20s. And that's why, you know, I made so many mistakes. I think with her, she'll have it better. Like, she's already, I don't want to, boyfriend, no. Being babies, no, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? To the fact where I have my older daughters are clinging to young men that are dogging them out. You know what I'm saying? Like cheating on them and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang, like it was a hard thing when my oldest daughter told me, don't instigate in my relationship because you didn't show me what a man was supposed to be like. And I had to step back and I had to think about that. Like, dang, that's tough.
Yeah.
And she's right though. Yeah. Because I didn't influence myself in her life like I should have when she was a young girl. Like all my kids are jealous of the relationship I have with her. She goes everywhere with me. Basketball practice, football practice, anywhere I go. Yeah, she can go. But my other daughters weren't like that.
Right. Because you was in a different season in your life too, right?
Yeah.
Y'all, okay, y'all step back. I gotta go later.
Okay.
I'm gonna be quiet.
So to answer that question for me personally, I would want my daughter to date a man like me. Because ultimately I think that, you know, I'm a good dude. I mean, I could be a bit biased, but at the end of the day, they do say that men, they actually get their karma through, you know, how they treat women through their daughters. And me personally, I had a son, so I don't know. I might was, you know, a little bit all right. So God was like, all right, let me give you a son, not give you a daughter, because I don't want to give you a karma. But nevertheless, but nevertheless, that's a deep one though, because you know you gotta take a look at that as well and say, hey, am I, you know, a good enough man where I would, you know, want my daughter to date a man like me? And ultimately, I say yes, especially at this particular time of my life. Probably not, you know, so earlier in my life, like my brother was over here saying, but yes, especially now, I would answer that question and say yes. And I mean, that's just personally my answer. I'll pass it over to the pastor.
All right. So, I don't know. They done dropped the mic. I think that Bible talks about out of the abundance of what comes in you is what's going to go out of you. And so, for example, when we look at our parents, as a male, my dad became my example. My mom became the one I strove to be with. We become like, as a father, I become more like my father. And then my mom and daddy was together, and because she is the essence of everything that she is, was put into me. Now I had lots of women, my mothers, my grandmothers, who kind of showed me the way, so and so. But then you start to look for people who model or resemble the thing that you've always been around. And so, because why? That's a comfort zone. Even on Sunday, I ministered on Sunday, and I talked about we create comfort out of chaos. Mm-hmm. We make chaos our normalcy. And so what happens is we look at our parents' relationship and that becomes our normal. It becomes our standard. It might not be the standard, but it becomes our standard. And then now we model our relationships after what we've seen, because out of the abundance of what comes in me is what's going to come out of me and what I'm going to model in the earth. And so I'm looking at all these TV shows and all of these things that are inputting into me what I should be looking at, what should I be expecting. And, you know, I go back to the Word of God and say, this is where my foundation is. So I think, and with everything that they said, we just have to know that as a parent, your children are watching you, whether you think so or not.
Absolutely.
Definitely are.
As a parent, your children are listening to you, whether you think so or not. As a parent, your children see how you treat people. How do you treat wait staff? How do you treat people who can't do nothing for you? How do you treat that person who you say mean everything to you? That becomes the model by which they grow up, and that becomes their new standard. And now they have some normalcy that they created out of your chaos. And so we have to be mindful of that we are the examples that our children are looking at.
Absolutely. And so that can go so deep, right?
Yeah,
When
it can.
talk about the daughters and the fathers, and you're saying, hey, I was a different person back then when
Right.
I grew up, right? When I grew into who I was meant to be, now I'm able to show that child that, but I missed out on showing the other children, and not purposely or intentionally. It was just the space in the mind frame that I was at. And so I think about it all of the time because I have girls, and me, telling their dad, hey, the same thing I was talking to y'all about, you got to be the first person to do this so that they don't look for love in situations or look towards man to give what they're looking for in their father. And that's so prevalent in our community today. They getting that stuff. Okay, let me go to the thing.
But let me say this.
Right.
A lot of women are looking for their father and their man.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And then the father can set such a high standard that they man could never even come close to. And they be like, but my dad did this and he did that and he spoiled me. You supposed to spoil me. You supposed to do this. You supposed. I mean, but I was just saying. Yeah.
But that's even why a lot of women accept abusive relationships because
On the flip
they're
side.
afraid of a man leaving them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear that a lot of times. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be alone.
I don't want to be alone if you leave me. And it's like, wow. And just like he said, man, out of the abundance, what I saw, my stepfather was a great provider. He went to work every day. He owned businesses. He took care of my mother, but he was a cheater.
Yeah.
I used to lay in the bed at night and hear the arguments about what he was doing.
Right.
And it's like, my mama's a good woman.
Why?
Why? And then it translated to me when I got older, like, I'm a good man. I know I'm good. I'm providing. I'm here. But you ain't doing what I think you should do. I'm a cheat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
Just keeping it 100.
And I want to go back to that because that is a lot of times how some men think, let alone women too. And so somebody said they think a lot of women accept being an option as opposed to being a priority because there is such a shortage of good men. I've heard conversations for women who are looking to date other ethnicities because of how Black women feel and are treated by Black men. And then the next comment gonna start a whole nother subject. So I'm gonna let us talk about them first. And so, do you think that some women do? I think you spoke about being that option versus that priority, right? Because they feel like maybe it is a shortage of good men, right? But then what qualifies you to say good man? And I often tell people, like, what do you mean I'm the option? Ain't no option with me. I'm the priority in all the options, or I'm none of them, right? And so I get when people say, what's the shortage of man? But I ain't sharing. Sharing ain't caring in that aspect, right? And so do you think that's true that because there is such a shortage of good men, women accept being the option, and women of color or Black women are looking to date outside of their ethnicities because of the way that we are perceived or treated by Black men?
That's tough.
Yeah, don't be quiet.
Go ahead. Because I'm gonna go left. I'm going to the deep end.
Go. This is a transparent conversation, y'all. Y'all can't be beating my guys up.
Go ahead, Pastor.
All right, look. So here's the thing with that. How do you define good men?
That's what I was thinking.
Because every female has a different criteria for what a good man is.
Thank you, Pastor.
And so what happens is you let a good you let one person go. Oh, somebody that's average to you is good to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so when you let a
Say
good, so when you let a good one go, that goes back to he met 80%, but he didn't meet the 100.
Yeah.
So he could have been good, but because he didn't meet that last 20, now you let him go, and you find out the next 10 you deal with couldn't even touch them.
Right.
And so now the definition comes in of what is good, and everybody's individual. What every individual is looking for, they're defining good by what they've seen.
Yes.
They defining good by what they heard. They're not even defining good by what's good for them. Because like Reggie mentioned, people who accept abusive relationships, good is he only hit me once a week instead of twice.
Yeah.
That's their standard of good. So sometimes good ain't even good for them. It's just what they've defined as good.
All right.
Yeah.
So y'all ready for this?
They got somebody.
No, not at all. I'm gonna speak candidly, and I'm gonna come from the the left wing with this one, but being monogamous is not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like some people believe in polygamy. You know what I mean? So we gotta think about that. We say that we are descendants from Africa, and then we look at their culture and they have multiple wives. You know what I mean? Sometimes. Okay. Look, she gotta get on it. She on it. She coming for it. She coming. She checking it in already. She ain't trying to let me go off on the deep end. Okay. Right. So ultimately, when we talk about options, some people that's right up their alley because it allows them to have their flexibility to be able to live the type of lifestyle that they want to live. So in that case, it works for some people, and in other cases, it don't work for other people, right? So you have those particular women who do want to be, the say all be all, the first, the last, the priority, the only, you know what I mean? Put me first type of relationships and situations, and then they become disheartened when they're not. When you are putting your child first, when you are putting God first, when you are putting your mother first, you know what I mean? So then they start to even feel like an option in that situation. It's like, but you are my only woman, you know what I mean? And it's like, don't get me wrong. Like I gotta take care of moms too. I gotta take care of grandma. I gotta take care of TT. I gotta take care of little sis. You know what I mean? And then I gotta take care of my job. And then I'm probably a coach. And you know what I mean? I gotta take care of these kids and all that. And then she like, well, I'm not the priority. I'm an option, in his life. And then that can draw a wedge. So it don't even have to be the option of other women. It could be, her just feeling like she's not the priority in this particular man's life because his business is coming first, or the congregation is coming first, rather than her specifically, as being the woman in his life.
Right, it's another coming up there too. But when you talk about that, and I'm the type of person, if that's what a person wants, right? Just thinking for me, then if they're honest and the other person is okay with it, that's their life, right? Because a lot of times we like to tell somebody else what they shouldn't take or what you shouldn't have. I just know what's best for me, but I always say honesty is best, right? So if the other person, if you're being honest with that woman or whoever you're talking with, and they accept that, then that's on y'all. I was on a panel today, and this one lady was saying how she had all these opinions about other people, and she had to get her life together and say, why am I worried about their business, right? Like, it's their business. If it's not directly affecting me, then that's what they should do. Why do men get too comfortable, meaning you stop putting in all the effort to keep a woman that you did to get her? Y'all get boring, yet we are still very much entertaining.
Oh my God. Go ahead.
Man. Listen, I'm gonna take it to where they was at, to where she talking about, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's just be honest. Just like men do stuff to get a woman, women do stuff to get a man, and then they stop.
Amen.
We not gonna make it one. So I always I'm very transparent in situations, So I sit around and I work around a lot of professional women, and a lot of them like the dude that's the thug that will sit at home just because he's there. It's a convenient. You know what I'm saying? So you get to looking at yourself as a professional man. Am I really a good man? You know what I'm saying? Am I really what women want? So then what do we normally turn to as a professional man? We turn to the hood rats and the other chicks that are not good for us because they can give us something that the other chick wasn't willing to give us.
Amen.
We see, we probably, just like you said, the 80-20, the 20%.
Yeah.
We'll take the 20 before we take the 80 because the 80 don't want us. Because it's a fear. I feel like it's a real fear of two powerful people being together. Because I'm going to take away from you and you're going to take away from me. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't understand that. It's a competition.
But
It happens.
But
It
if
happens.
we live in a social media world where everybody's telling you what a good man looks like.
Good on social media.
Yeah, what a good man's look like. Every relationship have problems. Pastor relationship have problems. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be times where sometimes we going to sit there and be like, no, we're not entertained. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean I don't love you and don't want to be with you. That does, and then they get to saying stuff and doing stuff, and then every action brings a reaction.
That's true.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying. So if you feel like, if I feel like you're not entertaining right now, what's wrong with having a hard conversation? What am I not doing? What do you need more of? We scared to have those conversations because it's always you trying to hurt my feelings, but telling me what I'm not doing.
Right.
Man, Reggie was passionate right
now.
I started to move over a little bit. Swing like.
I was like, yeah, Reggie.
I mean, it's the truth. Like,
absolutely.
Intentions, man. We don't let our like. I've been in situations to where I'm so reserved. So if I want to ask something because of the fear I had when I was a kid, if I outspoke my words, I would get in trouble. So when I meet a woman and something ain't going right, I do that. I run away instead of trying to fix it. I won't say I need more of this. Right. I'll run away, or I do normalcy. Cheat. I'll just cheat because I'm getting it from her. You ain't giving it to me, but I still love you. No, that's wrong.
Yeah. So can I gotta say something.
Go ahead. I got something, but go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I think that so the question, going back to the question, why is it that you don't do the same thing, to keep? So number one, that's a two-way street. That's not just a one-way street.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Number two, the problem is you're depending on a person's representative to stay there.
Yes.
And a lot of time people got you with their representative and not who they actually are. So the people change over time. So those same things that you did, Reggie said it earlier, I'm a different dude than I was 10, 15 years ago. So there are different needs, there are different challenges, there are different places that we fit together as we get older and grow together. But too many people are entering into relationships and then making these lifetime commitments, and you don't even know this person, but the sex was good. Okay, but they took me out, or they spent money on superficial things. And then you say, well, why don't you do the same things you did at the beginning? Because that's not who they were.
Right.
That's who they were in the moment, but that's not who the core of that person is. And once you get past that superficial stuff and get to the core of who I am, I'm the same person that I was 20 years ago. With my wife. My wife's the same person who she was 20 years, the core of who she was, not because we tried to show us each other our representatives and show us our social media lifestyle, even though they didn't have it 20 years ago. Our social media lifestyle, but who we are is what lasts. But who you tried to be or who you represent is always gonna fade away. Alex?
First and foremost, I'm not an entertainer, so I'm not even obligated to entertain you at this point. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like, I know what they're saying. Like, when you first meet a person and this particular character that you put on, why don't you keep it up going on and on? But the question or the comment was more or less like the person becomes boring or men become boring. But in a sense, a lot of times when like even kids be around me, or even if a friend or whatever the case may be is around me, or a girlfriend or whatever, if they start talking about, oh, I'm bored, why you being so boring? I'm like, it's first of all, it's not my job. Number two, you're born like you come up with something like entertain yourself. Why did you put that on me and then expect me to just be here 24/7 to entertain you? Like I got a ton of other things on my mind. Don't get me wrong. Like Reggie was saying, if you come up with some stuff, if able to articulate that, we can do that. We can, take that trip. We can, go and do that activity or whatever case may be, if it's horseback riding. But right now, my mind on how we finna win this championship because I'm coaching this basketball league. You know what I mean? Like, and then or I gotta pay these bills. I gotta, whatever case may be, being a provider, being a protector, being all those different things as being the man, a lot of times we're bogged down with all of those different issues, and we can kind of lose sight of all of those spontaneous things that we probably was doing in the first beginning of the relationship, because ultimately, like y'all mentioned before, those are the honeymoon stages. We have those seasons that we have to go through, and it's almost like a rainy day. It's like, can you stay around until the sunshine again?
Right. I like that.
Okay, somebody better put that.
Drop mic. Drop mic.
Right. And so, they come. They ain't coming at you.
They ain't coming at me yet.
No,
Okay.
no,
I thought
yet.
I was public enemy right now.
Public enemy number one.
I'm talking about polygamy up here.
Right.
I'm talking about I ain't your entertainment. I thought I was gonna drag me through the comments.
You know what they say, drag him.
On the podcast, they go back and watch the whole thing. And
Okay.
The whole Bible.
Okay, yeah.
They go find his inbox and be like, listen here. Listen, what they be saying, what is that, cutoff season, the council season? Cancel him.
Whoa.
No, they not. And they shouldn't, because we need to have this conversation, because we can't talk about relationships and fatherhood, right, as women, and that we have all of the answers when it's really you all, right? And so that's why I really wanted us to have this conversation, because too many times I feel as women, we have conversations alluding to what men think or what men should do or how men feel, never really asking, because we do think in totally different paths at times about what one's perception of the other one should be, but also the fact that I don't want to be speaking for a man as a father, right? Because I'm a mother. I don't want to be speaking for a man in a relationship to tell him what he should do, because I'm also a firm believer of you're not going to make him be anything that he don't want to be, right? And that's why I've known people to be with somebody for 6 to 10 years, leave that person, date somebody for 3 months and marry them, or do everything with that person that they wasn't doing with the other one. And she, as a woman, she continues to think, what did I do wrong? Nothing. Because it's not until he wants to. And so I'm going to ask y'all this question and speak freely. But once again, we on Facebook Live. So I often tell my friends that men don't have commitment issues. I truly don't believe it. And this is why, because which one y'all like basketball? Mm-hmm. Who your team?
I'm a LeBron James.
Right. So whether he lose, win, draw, him, right?
Yeah.
Who cut y'all hair? Y'all been going to the same barber?
Same barber.
Right. Now, if your barber got 10 people, somebody else has got one. Did you go wait on your barber with the 10, or you go with the one?
I go without a haircut or wait.
Right. And so men don't have commitment. This is me. Commitment. They have commitment to you, and that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That means you're not the person that they want to commit to, because you can be with the same basketball team. They can lose for 20 years straight. You're not changing. You can go to the same barber. He can be sick. He can be out. Like you said, I'll go without a haircut before I go with somebody else. And so it's not that they have those commitment issues. And so many times I feel as women, we give them excuses. No, if they want to be committed to you, they will. But it ain't because you go be so great that I'm about to commit now. It's the mindset. Like you said, I'm not the same man I was 20 years ago with my oldest daughter. You saying, hey, you may not ever see my son. That don't mean that I'm not going to do my thing. That just means that you're not a part of it. And that doesn't mean that something is wrong with that person. That's not your person. Married 20 years, right? So it wasn't that, and I know your wife, she's a great woman, right? But it was because that's who you wanted to marry, right? Mm-hmm. It was your choice. And so I often try to tell women, you can't force a man to be anything that he don't want to be, right? And don't get me wrong, because I believe behind every great man, there's a great woman, right? Whether it was their mother helping them, their spouse, whoever it was, I believe that helped them become the person that they are. But we can't speak for you. Neither can we make you be something that we want you to be, right? It's just not going to happen. That's me not being a man, but that has been what I've seen so many years having 5 brothers and what I've just seen in life. Right? And so if y'all want to come in, I mean, you can. Nobody go drag y'all. So, I mean, do men have... She said, oh, you're not an entertainer, huh? No. So, do you feel like men have commitment issues, or do y'all commit when you're ready, not when the woman wants you to be? I think say, this is my ultimatum.
Go ahead.
No, you
I think that men do it temporarily. Like they try to be, the man that the woman wants them to be, temporary, and that's why it don't last. You see what I'm saying? That's why things unfold later on down the line, because men are trying to uphold that image or that pressure that the woman is putting on them if they want them to be this or they want them to be that. But I think that you have reached a level of maturity that a lot of women haven't reached, or they haven't come to that epiphany that this guy, he's going to be exactly what he wants to be, or he's going to be in a situation where he really wants to be. And ultimately, that's what's going to make it for the longevity for him to commit. You know what I mean? But a lot of women, they try to put you into this cookie cutter, box of the man they want you to be, and then they try to switch up, your swag, or they might buy you all the clothes they want to see you in. You know what I'm saying? They probably indirectly, they be doing all type of indirect stuff, like they might get you the hoochie daddy shorts now. You said keep them.
Keep them. That's me. Days,
the male days you do.
Them lazy.
Oh my God.
Them lazy dudes.
No, but I seen all type of things where women would indirectly try to get a man a job and all type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they really will be manipulative in a way where they try to shape a man, and then they be surprised when that man really starts showing them their true colors. You know what I'm saying? And then they go back to the essence of who they truly are when they start to find themselves, and then it becomes a breakup or whatever case may be. But one thing I did want to say that I didn't get a chance to say, a lot of this stuff, it comes after you're out of the relationship, you're out of the situation. You can really start to assess the situation, but when you really in it, you really don't even understand what you're going through until later on down the line when you're able to reflect on what's happening. So that's my 2 cents.
I'm just asking. No, I have something I can say, but I'll let Reggie go.
Commitment issues. I don't feel like it's commitment issues. I feel like it's trust issues.
Oh,
in order to give somebody all of you, you have to be willing to trust them. A lot of people don't want to say that. You know what I'm saying? I need to be able. I'm a military guy. I need to be able to trust you that if we're in a fighting hole together and it's my turn to sleep, you don't go to sleep and we both get killed. Okay. So I look at things like that. If I got my back turned, are you stabbing me in the back? Loyalty. A lot of people throw it around. So
absolutely,
I think men, if you look at it, everything in history, especially with black men, we have been always stabbed in the back.
Yep.
And if it wasn't by massa and our wives, or it was by our friends and our wives. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of tough. We have trust issues. I think a lot of black men have a lot of trust issues because we've been told so many things that are not true. Especially from our own fathers. You got to think our fathers promised us to be there and they're not there. So we start to grow trust issues. You promised me that pair of shoes and you didn't get it for me. So now we start to have trust issues. We look at everything as a lie. So as a woman, if we've ever been cheated on by a woman, or if we ever saw a woman cheat, we feel like, hey, as soon as you see those signs, hey, I'm not committing to that because I know where this going.
Absolutely. And with your barber, you can trust his skill each and every time. So when you sit down, you like, I'm gonna get the same type of haircut. So you can trust that. Okay. It's consistent. So that makes sense. Why he can commit to a barber and he can't commit to the woman. I mean, it's honest truth. It's the
You
truth.
know what? Ultimately, commitment. With everything that they said, ultimately, commitment is consistency.
Yeah.
And I don't think men have a commitment issue. I think people in general have commitment issues. It's not just a man thing. You know,
Absolutely.
sometimes I think about how sometimes women are more groomed for commitment in marriage, and that one day when you get your wedding dress and all. Ultimately, it's consistency of who that person is that drives that commitment. I think with my own wife, one of the reasons I'll tell people, the reason why I got married when I did, and it was pretty quick when I got married, but I said it was 8 months. And I said, if I would have left my wife, because I still wanted to be, I was like, man, I'm young.
Right.
But for me, I said, if I leave this woman now, I will spend the rest of my life looking for her again.
Yeah.
She was consistent. She loved me. She cared for me. She was consistent. I would have spent the rest of my life looking for her again and may not have ever found her again. So I made a choice. You know what? I'm going to do this and continue with this. But me and my wife got married. We had dated 8 months when we got married.
Yeah.
But we was vibing. No, but things
Stars
went well.
aligned.
And I think that's what the Lord had for me. And he put us in that right place at that right time at each point of our lives. And, so I don't think I think it's personal commitment. And everybody's looking for consistency to commit. And if there's some areas of inconsistency or what I've been shown, then there's a little bit longer commitment road. It feels like too often I've seen women make excuses for inconsistency.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they still want to commit. And a man is more logical in his thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we see inconsistency,
Right.
then we may not be ready to commit.
Yeah.
Where a woman is more nurturing. And so, they did it that time, but they didn't mean it. Or you know what, they was lying on them. And then they'll commit quicker in inconsistency because of the nature of who they are.
Right.
Our logic won't let us do
want
that.
to fix or love somebody through it, right?
Right.
So what type of women do they consider marriage material? And in their opinion, are men still marrying independent and women holding their own over 50?
Whoa.
Wow. What is marriage? I mean, what do you like? How do you define marriage material?
But you hear people say it though.
Yeah. But that's just like.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Like I'm old. Like I like old school movies, so I tell people all the time. You met a woman, you married her. Y'all was married for 60 years because you built it on trust.
Okay.
Because the foundation was built. Look, we clicking right now. Let's go do this, and we gonna learn each other throughout the way. Okay. So we together 60 years. Marriage material is the word love. Do I love you enough to say I'm gonna commit to you for the rest of our lives? That's what it is, right? Commitment. It's always back to commitment. It's not what the girl on I'm gonna say it. The stripper pole could be marriage material,
right?
But it's the man that brings that out of her.
It's the man that wants it.
The man, it's not. Men are not always marriage material until a woman brings that out of them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is.
Anybody else on this one on marriage material?
Go ahead.
I would say marriage material. For me, number one, do you love God more than you love me?
Right.
Because if you love God, then you'll submit to God. I tell my wife all the time. I say, I'm not about to cheat on you. I ain't about to treat you bad. I ain't about to do nothing because I fear God.
Right.
My first commitment is to God, and then my next commitment is to you. And I always look at it, how I treat you. The Bible talks about what you've done to the least of them. Jesus says, what you've done to the least of them, you've also done to me. And so how I treat you is how I treat Jesus. And so for me, do you love God more than you love me? And that love, I'll just say this briefly. I heard this a long time ago. My pastor at the time said, in a marriage relationship, he said, it's my job to make sure that all my wife's wants, needs, and desires are taken care of. And he said her job is to make sure all my wants, needs, and desires are taken care of. When you have two people who all they're concentrating on is the other person, the love word, then it's a circle that goes around. But the moment that one person is taking but not giving, you start to form a gap. And that's when that circle and that bond is broken. So you just got two people who focused on each other and serving each other. That relationship, that's marriage material between two people.
Absolutely. Alex, you want to chime in or
I apologize. I got another meeting, a Zoom that I'm a part of right now that I actually lead and run. But
and you talking to us,
right? But I'm talking to y'all right now. But I was thinking like more forward mind thinking, and I actually have a presenter for tonight. But they depend on my energy too as well, just to kick things off, introduce the speaker, and all that good stuff. So that's going on right now. But nevertheless, I'm sorry. Can you ask me the question again?
Yeah, the marriage material. That's fine.
Marriage material. What's marriage material? Oh, I say me. I'm really on this complete package thing. I don't know. It's just me personally. I need the beauty and the brains. I need the vibe plus the consistency, the loyalty, the trust, the all to be like, okay, I'll go ahead and put a ring on this and wife this and make it. But I guess that's why I'm single, because I just ain't found the complete package.
You ain't found it, so you ain't doing the 80-20, right?
I don't know.
That's the package for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 80-20 could be the package, but I guess. Hey, Pastor got me over here thinking.
You better be real, like we said, and we know, right? But, right? Like it might not be everybody to check that 100 box, and so
right.
I guess to both of y'all, because y'all single, right? And then Pastor can chime in too, because this was called the King's Table for a reason. And I know people like, I don't do kings, I don't do queen, but I was out of town, and I'm a faith giant, and my foundation, right, is God. And so someone was having a discussion, right? And the King's Table came to mind, right? Like, what do we do when we let the man have this conversation without, as a woman, we continue to either interject or put our own voice on the man's? And so I wanted it to be, like I said, talking about fatherhood as well as relationships. And so for somebody who out there listening who may not have come in or asked the question, right, what advice or insight would you give them in reference of that fatherhood and relationship, whether it be one or the other, that you would want to leave somebody with tonight? And for the one that's single, I guess, so I guess, are y'all open to meeting somebody, or are y'all just vibing with people right now? I'll put it in them words instead of something else.
Go ahead.
Vibing. But
he said I'm vibing.
Can I give the question that you asked?
Yes.
My word of advice, I'm gonna just say as a father, man, men, if you have kids, be in their life. Don't, regardless of whatever barriers you might have, man, fight to be in their life, because you are an important figure. And that's coming from experience. I tell people I don't speak on nothing that I haven't experienced myself. I didn't fight, It was, I'm not gonna let you see your kids, and it was like, I'm cool. I'm paying my child support. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. You know what I'm saying? And it hurt me. You know what I'm saying? It hurt me a lot. So if you have a seed, man, be in a life. Time is more than money. Time is more than money.
Hey, I would like to second what my man just said. Honestly, I'm just co-signing. I'm co-signing. You gotta fight because it will hurt you. Trust and believe. And this is one thing that I wanted to say, and I know I'm probably gonna get canceled after this.
Oh,
But I said I was gonna say it on this podcast, and I'm about to say it. Women create, well, I'll say baby mamas create deadbeat baby daddies every day. They create them.
Yep.
Because when they say, "Oh no, you can't see your child," and the man say, "All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna go and turn up. I'm gonna go do me." Or they say, "Well, just send me the check, send me the money." You know what I mean? They're creating that perpetual cycle, and we have to stop that because these men, like my guy over here, he was saying he actually want to be in his child life. And I know me personally, I actually want to be in my child life. But in a sense, a lot of these women, they just want the money. They would rather you not even be in your child life and just take your money just because they money hungry than to actually have you putting those principles and in those values and actually being in your child's life. They would rather just be like, hey, send me a check. I want the pockets. I want the money. So fight for your right with your to spend time with your seed, to raise your seed. Don't let them hurt you in that sense, because I personally believe that when you take care of your seed, you become more blessed. So when you are away from your seed and you are not in their life and taking care of your seed, I think that that's when that negative energy, that karma started to come back on you. And that's when a lot of these cats they kind of lost right now because they not connected with their seed. You know what I mean? You ultimately find yourself, because that's you in another form, and you able to edify it, and you able to it's able to mature you and make you better by you being in your seed's life and helping it grow. So make sure y'all fight for that. Don't go for the trap of just, hey, send me the check. Don't do that. Don't get into the child support trap, because that's going to put you into the category of being a deadbeat. Oh, look, he ain't here, but you didn't send your child support, but no, he ain't show up and he ain't coming. He ain't do this and he ain't do that. Don't let them put you in a trap like that. Don't let these baby mamas create a deadbeat baby daddy. Y'all fight for y'all legacy to be a good daddy. Don't let them do y'all like that. Don't get set up in a trap. I mean, I think it needs to be talked about. I really do, honestly, because a lot of men, we don't have this conversation. Even as a Black culture, we don't have this conversation. It's something I did not know until I actually went through it. And I'm like, wow, I just fell for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But now I'm doing what man said. I got to fight back. I got to, be there. I got to do what I got to do. So, that's where I'm at personally. So only speak for me. Only speak for me.
No, that's good, and it's something that we should be talking about, right? And we can probably talk about it more. I ain't gonna say that. Okay, pass it.
I guess I'll go in the same vein as both of these gentlemen. And as a father, we have to remember that time matters. Yeah. Words matter. Your word matters. Your consistency matters. Your child sees everything that you do. They believe in you when you keep your word, and they stop believing in you when you don't. Don't ever think they're not listening, and don't ever think they're not watching, because everything you do becomes a seed to grow within them. So we have to, as fathers, I challenge us to be mindful of who we are. I challenge us to be mindful of the things that we say. I challenge us to be mindful of our own personal relationship with God, because that then trickles down to your relationships with everybody else. It all matters. Everything you do matters, and it has a domino effect, not only on you, but your seed, your relationships, everybody you come in contact with. There's a domino effect.
Thank you. I see neither one of them said if they were single and vibing, but we gonna let them pass.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'm here, but I'm not here at the same time too. Yeah, I'm most definitely single, and I'm most definitely vibing, and I really wanted to find my soulmate. I want to find that life partner that the pastor over here talking about, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm open.
But no, it's not. when you say you vibing, sometimes you vibing to find yourself.
Okay.
You can be in like people need recovery. You know what I'm saying? Some people need relationship recovery because you go into like new relationships with hurt situations. You're gonna be it's gonna be trouble. So it ain't ain't nobody in the playground. I read it.
Oh, you read that?
I'm not on the playground. I'm not on the playground.
So you open? They want to know.
It's open. Yeah, it's open, but I'm not on the playground.
Alex? That's not open at all, but I'm just saying. You already know.
My wife watching right now.
Right, and I know your wife. I don't even play games.
He opened in the church though.
Right. I'm about to say two single men, y'all open. Okay, y'all.
It's soul saved. That's
right.
I'm
They
open
said
to.
they open, y'all. Okay. So I want to say thank you all for tuning in to Taylor Talks tonight, King's Table, Fatherhood and Relationships. I want to speak for women. As women, we have to be more open-minded as well as able to listen and learn from men within our community too, and make sure that we don't over-talk them, right? That we talk with them, but also that we support them. And I feel like as Black women, we do, but a lot of times I also think we overshadow men or the things that they may have to say because we feel like we know it best. And so as a woman, a Black woman, I've taken that into consideration of my thoughts and perceptions when it comes to fatherhood and relationships and me growing too and not being the same person that I may have been 20 years ago. And none of us should want to be that person. We should want to evolve to be more. So thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you share this. If you see it later, please comment. I'll get the questions to them. I did tag them up in the chat. Now somebody come to y'all inbox. That is not on me. But thank you all for being the best part of Taylor Talks and joining in. We'll continue these conversations, topics from A to Z, not your normal conversations. It's never scripted, so y'all getting the authentically us whenever you're listening. So continue to tune in. Thank you and have a great night. Make sure you love on somebody. It feels like we getting out the middle of this pandemic, but I often feel like even before the pandemic, we didn't have a I love my neighbor of a love of community. So make sure you just check on somebody. They may need that to survive through the day. Mental illness and mental health is real.
Absolutely. All right. Peace.
Double twos, baby.
Indeed. It's a pleasure.
My man.
Hey, nice meeting you, man.
You too, man. It's a pleasure. We most definitely gonna connect. I got y'all contacts. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me take a picture really quick.
Who's taking a picture?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let you in.